A courtroom reunion like no other. The courtroom was tense. Spectators whispered, reporters scribbled notes, and the gavel's sharp crack commanded attention. Judge Eleanor Hayes adjusted her glasses, preparing for another routine case. The bailiff's voice rang out, "The state of Louisiana versus James Anderson." Eleanor's fingers froze on her desk. The name struck her like a thunderbolt. As the defendant was led in, her breath caught. James Anderson. Not just another name in the system. Not just another case. This was her James. Her childhood best friend. The boy who had once dared to dream with her under the magnolia tree in her backyard. And now, he stood before her in shackles, accused of assault and robbery. The ghosts of the past. Eleanor's mind reeled back to a time before black robes and legal codes. Growing up in Hammond, Louisiana, she and James had been inseparable despite the racial and social divide that dictated their town. Their friendship had defied the odds, until one fateful evening when her father found them talking on the porch. His voice had been cold, final, "Eleanor, get inside. Now." That was the last time they truly spoke. Life had swept them in opposite directions. She went to law school, and James disappeared from her world. And now, he was here. On trial for a crime he swore he didn't commit. The trial unfolds. The prosecutor laid out the case. The robbery happened at a convenience store in Baton Rouge. The clerk identified a man wearing a red hoodie. James was arrested 2 blocks away, cash found on him. But the defense attorney, Lisa Porter, was sharp. She dissected the evidence with precision. The surveillance video was grainy, failing to clearly identify the suspect. James was wearing dark clothing at the time of arrest, not a red hoodie. The arresting officer admitted no effort was made to search for the missing hoodie. Eleanor's stomach twisted. The case wasn't as clear-cut as it seemed. Then, James himself took the stand. "I've made mistakes," he admitted, "but I didn't do this. That night, I was just walking home. The police saw me and decided I fit the description. No questions. No proof. Just an assumption." His voice cracked, revealing years of frustration, pain, and injustice. A new perspective, a story of second chances. At this moment, Eleanor wasn't just a judge, she was a witness to something much larger than a single case. She recalled another case from years ago. A young woman, Maria, had been wrongfully accused of theft at a department store. The security footage was inconclusive, but the store insisted on pressing charges. The judge at the time had dismissed her pleas and sentenced her. Years later, the real thief was caught, but Maria's life had already been shattered. That moment had changed Eleanor's approach to justice forever. Now, here she was again, faced with a verdict that could change James' life. Could she allow another miscarriage of justice? The verdict that shook the courtroom. Hours of deliberation passed. Finally, the jury returned. The courtroom held its breath. Not guilty. James sagged with relief, but his face was unreadable. Was this truly a victory? Or just another reminder of how close he had come to losing everything? As the courtroom emptied, James approached Eleanor. "You knew me. Why didn't you say anything?" She swallowed hard. "Because I had to be fair. If I had spoken up, I might have jeopardized the case." James studied her, then nodded. "Fair? The world's never been fair to people like me." She had no answer. Only the weight of responsibility pressing heavier on her shoulders. The bigger lesson, justice versus the system. Eleanor left the courthouse with a new determination. Justice wasn't just about laws and verdicts. It was about fighting for the truth, for those who weren't given a fair chance. She had upheld the law today, but had she upheld justice? That, she realized, was a question she would spend the rest of her career answering. And as for James? His fight wasn't over. But at least, for the first time in a long time, he was free to keep fighting. Final reflection: what does this mean for us? This story isn't just about a judge and a childhood friend. It's about a system that too often fails those who need justice the most. It's about second chances, about questioning the narratives we are given, and about the responsibility each of us has to seek the truth. So ask yourself, how often do we judge before we understand? And what can we do to ensure that fairness isn't just a word, but a reality for all?